I'm here with Juan of Evildead to talk about Toxic Grace, out May 24th on Steam Hammer. Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me and to talk about this ravishing sounding record. The guitars on this album will slap you for days. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me about the album.
My pleasure, man. I appreciate you taking the time as well.
So let me start off by asking you this. After such a long hiatus leading up to United States of Anarchy, what did you guys needed off of that album to allow you guys to continue to create records and to release another album like Toxic Race?
Um, well, the original plan was we wanted to just put out an EP, 3-4 songs. Um, that's really what the plan was. So we went in and we recorded some songs. We let our label Steamhammer hear it, and they were excited about the direction of the material, and they persuaded us to do a full album. So at that point, we had to go back, start the process again, write more songs. Fortunately enough for us, my other guitar player, Albert Gonzalez, had an arsenal of riffs and ideas. See, for Evildead, everything starts with a guitar riff. I guess most bands, same thing. So then from there, we built on adding more riffs, and I would throw some ideas out. Our drummer Rob Alaniz was instrumental on with the drum beats and the arrangements, and so little by little we just started doing demos and got the songs over to Phil, our vocalist, and he wrote his stuff. The whole process, recorded more demos until we had enough material for an album.
Was there a concern that, considering that you had those songs that were geared up to be an EP, now you're adding more songs? Did you guys worry about, the vibe that these songs at the end of the day have to have in order for the record to feel a little bit more cohesive?
Yeah, I mean, of course, that was a concern. And not only that, we worked with two different producers on this record because the first 4 songs were done by Rob Hill, friend of ours out here in Los Angeles. So then and on top of that, we took time off to do a European tour in 2023. So we had some time off, which was a blessing in a way, because it gave us time to reflect on the material that we had written so far. So when we came back, we started working with his producer engineer named Dave Casey, who had worked with Phil Flores in the past. So he brought his own twist to the table. And so now, okay, we got 2 different producers, 3 different batches of songs. How are we going to make this all sound right? So yeah, you're right. It was a bit challenging. In the end, it worked out great. I'd have to give a shout out to Dave Roman at 4130 Mastering to make it sound all like one session, even though it wasn't. So but a lot of records in the past and present have been done like this, different sessions, but it was a bit challenging. Yes.
Now you come into Toxic Race. You don't have to worry about that because now you're coming into making a full-length record. So how was the approach on this album when you compare to its predecessor?
The approach, and we didn't set any limitations. We just kind of let the ideas flow. Not saying that we had limitations on the Anarchy record. I think this is more consistent sound. The production is a little more powerful than the last record. The tempos are more controlled. We really just paid attention to the flow of the music and just kind of let things happen organically. And I think that's really what it was, but without setting any limitations and to what we were writing. I mean, at the end of the day, we're metal fans as well, so we know what we want to hear, and we write music that we like. So, and if people like it, that's a plus. So we weren't trying to impress anybody. We felt very comfortable and confident with this recording.
Is that the mindset that you have now? Is that the same mindset that you guys had back in the 80s when you guys were first starting out?
That's another good question. I don't think that is the same mindset, because as a musician, as a person, you grow and you feel more comfortable in your skin, and and the songs you write. So I wouldn't say that's the same mindset. I think when we first came out, we just wanted to go full blast, and you know, we had a lot of hardcore influences and punk rock influences, and of course speed metal and new wave of British heavy metal. On this record, we kind of found our sound and what we wanted to do. We were more zoned in.
One of the things that I loved about this album is that guitar sound. Like it has that growing up late 80s, early 90s when I started getting into metal as a kid, I always gravitated to bands that had that thick riffing, that guitar sound that's really
Yeah.
thick, that just I fucking love it. Like I could listen to that for days. And you guys have it on this record, that fat sound coming out of the guitars.
Well, thank
Uh,
you very much. Yeah.
how important is that sound for you? Because I really feel like that is a huge chunk of the DNA of the band.
On this record, we paid more attention to the guitar tones. Not saying that we didn't in the past. Um, we used an EVH 100 watt, the Eddie Van Halen EVH 100 watt. We also use a Soldano amplifier on these recordings, and not only real amps, we also organically use some plugins. This stuff called Neural DSP, which make amazing plugins. Um, you know, so I think a combination of using um, real amps and plugins gives it a good good like just mesh of everything. And I also have this 50-watt EVH that was pretty instrumental for the tone. And we use EMG pickups, active pickups, and also some passive pickups. So it, yeah, I mean, I'm, you know, as a guitar player, you always strive for the best tone you can. And I think me and Albert did pretty well with that. And you know, you got to give a shout out to Rob Hill, the producer, and also Dave Casey, capturing those tones. And as an engineer, you know, your job is to make sure the client is happy. And I think, you know, we're very happy with the guitar tones.
You have your sound, you have that very specific DNA on this record from a guitar standpoint. But do you listen to other artists, other guitar players, and maybe without even thinking about it, do you feel like you're influenced by others, or you're a little bit more in a bubble and you try to control as much as you can your own sound?
I think in the past, we were more influenced by other guitar players growing up. I mean, I was, you know, Michael Schenker had a huge influence on me. Um, Also Glenn Tipton, KK Downing from Judas Priest, the Iron Maiden guitar players, Adrian Smith, Dave Murray, Willie John Roth had a big influence on Albert. You know, those influences are there for years of doing this. Um, I tend, I always like to, well, I mean, I'm a metal fan, so I like listening to music all the time. So I'm aware of, you know, new releases and then guitar players and their tones. Um, but you know, I don't look at it as a competition thing at all. It's just every guitar player is always going to strive for the best possible tone that they can get. I mean, honestly, I think if we would have spent more time on this record, we could have even got even a fatter sound. But you know, at some point you have to stop and say, hey man, this is good for where we're at right now. Let's not overkill.
Do you keep that thought process within the band, within the group, when it comes to not overthinking, or do you guys look outside, sometimes outside the box for fresh ears when in doubt on where to go?
Yeah, that's why it was important for us on this record to work with these two different producers, because their outside opinion really helped us a lot and guided us in our sound and direction. I mean, yeah, it's important for sure. I mean, so some bands can produce their own stuff, and um, they're great at it for sure. Yeah, I mean, look at Andy Sneap. You know, his productions are amazing, and he's also a great guitar player. And so, but you know, for us, we welcome the outside help and fresh ears.
Are you a perfectionist when it comes to putting a record like this together? Do you look at all the finer details of your guitar, of your sound, of what you're doing, or you're a little bit more laid back? What's your
Um,
persona, if you will?
that's a great question. Um, I think, yeah, I mean, you can overthink it. You can be over perfectionist about everything. the thing about all that is it's got to sound natural. You could be perfectionist, but at the same point, it's got to sound natural. I hear a lot of new records. It's too perfect, man. I'll be honest with you. Everything's on the grid. Everything's perfect, and you got to have a little bit of little looseness in there. That's what makes it sound organic. So it's a give and take thing. I used to be more perfectionist about it, and then you get to a point where you just go, you know what? If it sounds good, it sounds good, and but you always want to be mindful of what's going on with the tracks for sure.
One of the great qualities of this record is that it feels like you guys recorded it in one session. It has almost like a live studio vibe to it, very organic. Everybody, the impression that I get is everybody's feeding off of one another. Everybody's vibing with one another. Is that how it is? Is this like a family setting for you and the guys when it comes to recording Evildead tracks in a record?
We try to have that, especially in the writing process for sure. A lot of this album was were ideas from Albert, but we also worked them out kind of like old school. We were in a garage. We were in Phil Flores's garage, and Garage Days Revisited. We went in there and kind of hot day, and just work take our time. And so yeah, it was a process for sure. But once we get in the studio, I think it's more one-on-one. A couple of us will be in the control room with our engineer and as people record. So yeah, I mean, Phil likes to work by himself with a producer. He'll allow me there, so for guidance. So um, it's a little bit of everything, a little bit of both. Everybody in there, and then at times people feel more comfortable working with a producer and maybe one band member. For sometimes when you have too many people in the control room, it's kind of a distraction. So it just depends on the artist. Every situation is different. Every band is different how they work.
Your work outside of Evildead, how much has that contributed not just to your own personal growth, but to also the growth of the band and the impact that will have on the band's sound?
It's definitely helped me be more focused. I mean, working with Body Count, it's a very professional atmosphere. So it's how they do records is definitely helped me as a musician and uh as what I want from a recording. It's helped a lot, but at the same time, Evildead is completely different in styles and stuff. So it doesn't cross over too much, but the influence is there as far as the work ethics for sure.
The
For sure.
professionalism.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Now, I mentioned that this album has that live vibe to it. So, are you guys planning some shows, some album release party? I mean, the album is just around the corner, May 24th.
Yeah, this is what's going on. Um, I got a show next week with Body Count. We're here in Los Angeles at the House of Blues, and we're going on tour. Body Count is in all of June through Europe. Now, how does this affect Evildead? Well, Evildead has booked a show August 16th. We're playing with Whiplash here in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
It's a 40-year anniversary of Power and Pain, and it's going to be like our delayed record release gig. So we plan to do a special show and play songs off the new record. That's going to be the first show for us. We were planning a record release listening party, but we just said, you know what, let's just do it all at the Terragram Ballroom on the 16th with our friends from Whiplash, and there's another band out here from the West Coast called Dead Heat, which is going to be on the bill. So we're looking forward to that. And also we just got booked for the California Death Fest 7 in Oakland, California with Sodom and Sacrifice.
Oh,
And
wow.
and our good friends Hyrax are going to be on the bill as well. So those are going to be two important West Coast shows for us promoting the new record. And we hope to tour Europe in 2025. There's other stuff coming up that's on the table, so we're waiting to do more shows as well. I just got to do the Body Count tour in June, and then you know
See
working
what,
the it's a little bit of a juggling, because
yeah,
this
yeah.
that record would have came out earlier, it would have helped out tremendously, but hey, you know, things happen for a reason. Like you said, it's coming out May 24th, and we're excited about it.
You know, I mean, you better than me know the landscape of the music business today, how expensive it is to touring and get on the road.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have to not just think about it once, but you have to think about multiple times before, taking the band on even on a US run, because of all the costs and everything associated with it.
Hey man, it's not easy, that's for sure. That's why we when we book these shows, we make sure. I mean, like, the LA show is not a problem. Oakland's close by, 6 hour drive. We want to get out to the East Coast. When we did the European tour in 2023, the expenses were up there. You know, the flights. We,
Mhm.
we we had a tour bus. We had to pay for it. You know, a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of expenses to doing this stuff. Fortunately, we came home in the plus, so that was great. Yeah, but the costs are completely astronomical nowadays. So you really got to plan ahead, and figure out when's the best time as a band to tour for your band.
People used to joke about starving musicians. It's not a joke, it's a reality.
It's a reality for sure. I mean,
Unfortunately, unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, and I think that's why some of these ticket prices have gone up so much. You know, it's man, I just think after 2020, it's they kind of been gouging it. Everything's just the cost of living in general. So yeah, you just got to plan ahead. You know, to us, music's important, and we're grateful to do this. So, and we want to continue doing this. So we just got to plan ahead and make sure we can make things happen.
Yeah, I
However,
was I was at a show this week. I saw a T-shirt sale for $65. I was like, wow, we've we're breaking new grounds with
yeah.
$65 for a T-shirt. But I get it.
What band was that? You
Blind
want to say?
Guardian.
Wow, 60. Hey, man. I mean, like I said, the touring costs have gone up so much that some bands will try to make it up on t-shirt sales. Ours are not 65, you know. I mean, we feel bad when we have to ask for 25, you know. so, but
25, man, that's a steal. I'll take like three.
I know. And see, remember, we do this because we're metal fans and we love metal. So we try to give the metal fans a deal. You know what I'm saying? We'll have at least a shirt for 2025, you know, like our special. But yeah, I mean, 65 is up there, but I understand. I mean,
No, yeah,
I
me too. I,
understand it.
I totally get it. Plus the venues charging commissions on the merch
That's
and all
right.
of it. I get it. I'm not passing judgment. Just the prices of everything is just going through the roof, and eventually there's a backside to that, which is less people going to shows, because if you have 3 or 4 shows in one week, you start to penny pinch a little bit because you can't afford to go to every single show.
Right. It's true. It's true. You just got to be strategic. For us, we try to be strategic on touring and make every show the best possible, and have the merch, you know, everything in line with that. Sometimes less is more, you know. I'm starting to figure that out now. You just be strategic about your touring.
Yeah, I also be strategic about the merch. Like I was at a
Right.
show in Norway. One of the bands were selling butt plugs, and that thing went so fast that you know what I mean. They couldn't
Oh
put those bad
man.
boys out fast enough and sold out. So I think you just got to be really creative these days with them. You'll be surprised what sells.
I've never thought of selling butt plugs.
Hey,
That's crazy, man.
if you do, just give me a shout out. If you do, I don't want any royalties. I don't want anything. Just give me a shout out. Pedro was the one that gave me the idea of Evil Dead
Pedro
butt
was the one
plugs.
that gave us the idea. We'll engrave the Evil Dead logo on the side, right? Or
They
emboss
actually had it on the base. That's they had their logo on the base.
dude.
So I think it's genius, if you ask me.
And they
So what
sold out, dude. This is
I got
comical.
I was watching a band. I got a text message from a friend saying, "Hey, look what they're selling." I went there to check it out. By the time I walked there, they were gone. We're talking about like 15 minutes. 15 minutes, they were all gone.
And where was this at?
In Norway, at
In
Oslo, at
Norway, that's right.
Inferno.
Oh my God. Amazing. That's a great story.
So you never know, man. Just be creative, think outside the box.
I'll run it by the band.
I have one more question for you. Is with this album coming out, with those shows coming out, is there something that you're going to be looking at specifically to see if this album hit the mark as far as the audience, as far as the label, or you don't worry yourself too much about that? You just want to put the best record possible out and then let the chips fall where they may.
I think you just said it. We just let the chips fall where they wherever they fall. No, we're not. You pay some attention to the analytics, but at the end of the day, we're just we're just a metal band, and we just obviously just want to get the music out there and do the best live shows possible, and you know don't pay too much attention to those things. For us, at least, we don't. Um, we may want to do some more music videos. I think that's a good avenue to promote the band, though.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Especially with YouTube these days, and
Right. And live shows too. Live streams are always kind of cool here and there, as long as you don't overkill it and do too many.
Mhm.
Some live rare, little 15-20 minute live performances, different multi camera angles. That's always kind of cool, right? I mean, I remember growing up watching Iron Maiden, some of their live shows, those little 20-minute studio jams. They in a yeah, I think they were inside like a little studio or something, and
Mhm.
or even the Ozzy with Randy Rhoads sessions. It's great, man. As a fan, to see that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we get enough of that these days, to be honest
I
with you.
know exactly.
I grew up as you watching like Headbangers Ball on MTV, and that stuff was, you always look forward to something like
Yeah,
that because you not always have a chance to see a band perform live, and that kind of gives
right.
you a little bit of a fix, if you will, in order to
For
get that.
sure, and,
Uh,
and especially with YouTube, it's yeah. I think it's important. It's a good way to communicate with your fans.
Yeah, more so ever than now, like with all the platforms that exist, bands have a very good opportunity to communicate directly with their fan base without needing anybody in between and really controlling the message at the same time.
Right, exactly. So you may see a little bit of that from us, maybe some live streams here and there. We want to like build this record up and um in the next few months get some more shows under our belt. We're excited. We like the songs. Um for me, like Fear Porn is a great, that's the last track on the record. Powerful song, Subjugated Souls, Raising Fresh Hell. Those are all songs we're going to be playing live. So I'm very excited about it.
Well, I'm gonna put the word out with John. If you guys ever come by me, I'm in Toronto, so if you guys ever play by me, for him to give me a heads up so I can come to a show and see you guys play for sure.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you for taking the time to chat with me. All the best. And once again, if you ever get those butt plugs done, just give me a shout out.
You got it. And yeah, send me the link when you get a chance to this.
I will. I will.
Okay, great.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Take care. All the best. Thank you.
Yeah, right on.